Levis simply shouldn't be drafted in the first round. And I know now a lot of people are beginning to hop on that bandwagon, but it's important everyone does, because there are some quarterback needy teams in the first round who are very much in the position to grab him. But I hope, for the face of their franchise, they don't. Let's get into the tape and see why Will Levis, someone who is even potentially hyped as the number 1 overall pick and PFF's number 2 overall quarterback, why he struggled and why he certainly shouldn't be drafted before the 3rd round. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Tyler Coker, and I'm your host for today's episode of Today with Tyler. I hope you enjoy. Will Levis certainly has some physical traits that can be worked with, and while they may not be as overwhelming as draft media implies, they're still very good. His arm generates good velocity from a quick release, helping for tight window throws and quick offenses. His arm can go far as well, and Levis occasionally uncorks a good deep shot to threaten opposing defenses, which he did at his pro day. He can show promise of progressing through his receivers well, a promising trait for development. He can progress all the way to the flat, which is a sign of experience and can be built upon in the NFL. Occasionally, Levis can make good reads as well, and even if he misses with his accuracy, he can potentially understand the defense in front of him and attempt to punish it, which will be helped by the elevated talent around him at the next level, which wasn't there in Kentucky. He even shows flashes of anticipation, which is a crucial trait for him to build on if he wants to succeed in the NFL. Unfortunately, Levis has a little more upside than that. And now let's look at why I would not draft Will Levis. First, his accuracy is extremely inconsistent. He can just simply miss. He can throw the ball in bad spots, allowing defenders to get back into the play and risking turnovers. He too often let balls get contested that didn't need to be, accentuating the inexperienced receiving corps at Kentucky, especially after Wan'Dale Robinson left. He also doesn't appear to truly understand defenses in front of him, and never showed consistent anticipation, which led him into trouble. Even when he did complete passes and execute the play, his quick release often made up for his slow decision-making, which won't be the case in the NFL. That slow decision-making was fairly common on his tape, which is why he just doesn't grade as a first-round pick. His ball placement is a reflection of his understanding of the defense, and he doesn't throw into leverage or yards after catch. He can simply miss reads, progressing to deep reads when his first one came open. Sometimes those misreads stack and he can run while missing multiple open routes. He can inexplicably panic, which can be from him being gun-shy with the Kentucky line, and stops reading the field completely. Especially prominent with deep routes, Levis's panic can lose significant yardage throughout a game, and the passing game begins to fail. Additionally, Levis has some fundamental problems, as his drop back is often jerky and uncomfortable. His dropbacks can lead to him fading from his throws or failure to step up in the pocket, which is a terrible habit, but luckily is coachable. So Will Levis certainly has some traits that can be developed, but he's further behind in development than people like Anthony Richardson and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who are both necessarily developmental quarterbacks. So Will Levis doesn't have the executional traits, and in my opinion, doesn't have the physical traits to make him a first-round pick either, like how you have in Anthony Richardson this year. And to bring up people like PFF, who are widely respected in the football field, but had a very much higher grade than Will Levis, they ultimately blamed a lot of it on a lack of talent around him, and ultimately a lot of things that aren't his fault. And I would say they are. And while it's definitely important they didn't have a good cast around him, his traits that were struggling didn't necessarily rely on talent. So I do worry a little bit about things like his accuracy, which did not come down at all to his team around him. Now, could he turn out to be great? Of course, but I simply don't think that he's worth a first-round pick, and ultimately isn't even close to worth a first-round pick. So when he does get drafted, because he certainly earned that, I hope he goes to a team that's willing to let him sit back and develop, because then he might become great. But until then, Will Levis should not be drafted. Thank you for listening, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.